When we first met, I thought I'd found calm. Not butterflies, not fireworks, but something quieter. A man who seemed steady, respectful, safe. After everything I'd been through, I didn't want chaos. I wanted comfort. We moved in together 6 months after dating. My friends said it was fast, but I had this idea in my head that adults don't waste time when they know, and I wanted to believe I finally knew. He didn't overwhelm me with love, but he didn't overwhelm me with drama either. He texted back, he showed up, he made space in his closet. I thought that was enough. But slowly, the space he made around me became the space between us. We stopped talking about anything real. We still had dinner, still watched shows, still shared bills. But it was like living next to a polite stranger who happened to remember how you take your coffee. I would talk about work, about my students, about how the copier jammed, about the kid who told me I looked like a tired giraffe, and he'd nod without looking up from his phone. I would laugh to fill the silence, louder, then softer, until I stopped laughing altogether. Sometimes he brought me tea, sometimes he forgot. Once I waited just to see if he would notice. He didn't. I started drinking water from the tap. He never insulted me, never raised his voice, never laid a hand on me. So I told myself I had no right to complain. But I started shrinking. In conversations, I defaulted to "you pick." At dinner, I ate in silence. At night, I curled up at the edge of the bed while he fell asleep facing the other way. I tried to initiate intimacy once. He said, "Not now. I'm tired." So I stopped asking. I convinced myself this was maturity, the quiet coexistence of two adults. I told myself I was lucky. After all, he was kind. He didn't cheat. He didn't lie. What else could I possibly expect? Then one afternoon, I saw our neighbor help his wife into her coat. No words, no performance, just a small, gentle gesture. And something inside me cracked. Not because I wanted that exact moment, but because I couldn't remember the last time someone made me feel considered. We still went out to dinner with friends. We still posted vacation photos. We even had a joint savings account. On the outside, everything looked functional. But I couldn't remember the last time he asked me how I was really feeling, or held my hand when I didn't reach for his. I couldn't remember the last time we had a fight, not because things were fine, but because neither of us bothered anymore. It was like two ghosts playing house. Sometimes I fantasized about getting sick, just to see if he'd notice, just to see if he'd care. That's when I realized how starved I'd become for attention that wasn't transactional. I started waking up earlier than him just to sit in the kitchen alone. At least then the silence was mine. One night I asked him, "Do you think we're okay?" He looked up and said, "Yeah." Why wouldn't we be? I wanted to scream because I feel like I'm vanishing. But instead I smiled and said, "Just checking." He left 6 months later, said we'd grown apart, that he felt like I was distant. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. I had grown apart from myself, from the woman who used to feel things deeply, laugh loudly, want wildly. After he left, I cried. Not for him, but for every version of me I had silenced just to keep things peaceful. Now, when people ask if I miss him, I say no. I miss being looked at, really looked at. But more than that, I miss the version of me who still believed she was worth seeing. And now I look in the mirror and remind her, she still is. Sometimes you don't lose someone when they walk out. You lose them the moment they stop looking at you, but if you're lucky, that's when you start looking at yourself. And that's when everything starts to change. Because feeling invisible next to someone is lonelier than being alone. And I'd rather sit across from an empty chair than next to a man who forgot how to see me.